us now to look at these issues. Welcome and
Thank you so much.
thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It was you that started all this while, like the APC, some would say. And that started with your petition,
Yes,
accusing the chairman of APC of playing some anti-party politics. Why did you do that?
exactly. Um, I want to start, first of all, by reminding us of the activities that trail the ministerial appointment last year. We had issues in Benue State where the Idomas complained seriously of marginalization in terms of federal appointment. You know, we have two major languages in Benue State, the Thieves and the Idomas. The Idoma political elite came together regardless of party differences to
Go ahead.
advocate, or agitate for the consideration of the plight of the Idoma people. The state party chairman of APC, in person of Mr. Austin Agada, came on national television to disparage these elders in the categories of former Senate President Senator Ame Ebute from Benue South, Chief Innocent Aldogbe, former Minister of Agriculture, General Lawrence Onoja, AVM Morgan, retired. These were the caliber of people that he came to disparage on national TV, accusing them of anti-party activities. Whereas it has been established that he is the chief priest of anti-party, the chairman who was entrusted to lead people to victory in Benue South. You will also recall that even though President Bola Tinubu won Benue State, majority of the votes came from the Thief-speaking area. The Labour Party won Benue South because of the anti-party activities of this chairman. Now, why that is just a background. Why I had to put up this petition and why it became necessary, very necessary, was because we discovered that at the heat of the campaigns, the electioneering campaigns, he transferred money to the account of Senator Abba Moro of the PDP, who was my opponent in the elections, on the 5th of December 2022. The very day, it will interest you to know, that I paid money into the account of the organizing secretary of the party, James Onguga, for the enlistment of my party agents for the election. On that same day, 5th of December 2022, my own party chairman was busy sabotaging my election by sending money to my opponent. He paid the sum of 5 million naira into the account of Senator Abba Moro, his Fidelity Bank account. And he repeated the same thing on the 8th of December 2022. He made another payment into the GTB account of Senator Abba Moro. The evidence are there, and I tabled them in my petitions, which I wrote to the National Working Committee of APC through the National Chairman, Ganduje. And also in another area where he sabotaged my elections. Haven't paid for the agents because the state organizing secretary, the James Onguga, went for a retreat of the APC of all organizing secretaries in Imo State before the elections, where they were told that the senatorial candidate should produce the agent list for all the senatorial zones. And when he came back, he told me that informs why I had to make that payment. But on the eve of the elections, the chairman in cohort with some other persons changed the entire list that I submitted for my agents. And we will later realize that most of the people that constitute that list of party agents were not members of our party. The evidence is there with INEC, anybody can check, and even our party at the national level have the names of the agents that were enlisted. And that was where they sabotaged my elections. While they maintained the Beavers accreditation so as not to be accused of overvoting, they swapped the results of the elections at will.
Do you have evidence of all of this?
Yes, I do. The ballot papers that were used for the elections are still with INEC, and anybody can apply with the Freedom of Information Bill. Anybody can apply for the certified true copies of these ballot papers from INEC Makurdi, their state office in Makurdi, because I got some during the tribunal. What we discovered is areas where I was winning at will with every level of impunity. The vote of my opponent was allocated to me and mine was allocated to him. That was what they did all through. I won that elections and I won it clear. So it's left for everyone, to anyone who wants to find out, to go to the INEC office and ask for the ballot papers that were used to conduct the elections of Benue.
I'm wondering, why aren't you taking this before the election? Why didn't you take this before the election tribunal?
Well, I took it before the election petition tribunal, and the petition was dismissed at the court of first instance on technicality, and also when we went to court of appeal, rather than the court or the judiciary looking into the substance of the case, they were more interested in the technicalities that our opponents raised objections about, but decisions have been taken. I'm a statesman. I should abide by the decision of the court, so I don't want to go into that details, regardless how I feel, how bad I feel about that decision. I don't want to disparage the judiciary on national television. But of course, we know that we as political actors must learn to respect and obey the rule of law. That is what keeps us going in the society. Because if we begin to disparage the courts and the judiciary, then it's an invitation to anarchy. So I will not be part of it.
And
but I know that justice was subverted in my case at the tribunal. That is all I can say.
And if you disparage the judiciary, the day it turns out good for you, you won't be able to talk
exactly.
again. Okay, so let's look at some of the issues you raised and how you went about getting this. I do know that statement of accounts are supposed to be personal to private property of the owners of the account. So how did you go about accessing those details? And then, do you have any personal grounds with him before the elections or rift? And I'm asking this because why would someone who is in your party chairman at that, who is supposedly your brother, work against you in an election? Is there something you're not telling us that transpired between you and him, if that is correct? And then, how did you arrive at the evidence you're talking about?
Well, first of all, I like to talk about how I arrived at the evidence, which is very important to me, because the others are just trivial issues. So now there is this lady whom he lodged the money into her account, transferred the money into her account, because he knew what he was doing was wrong. He would have done it directly. So he transferred the money into the lady's account with instruction from his phone, text message to the lady's phone, giving the account number of Senator Abba Moro and asking the lady to transfer immediately to Senator Abba Moro. So if you see the evidence, it's just about a minute different from when he sent the directive to the lady and the account number, and also she paid. You see the record of transactions from her account to Senator Abba Moro's account. And then I think something went wrong along the line, and the lady also felt they were around him during the elections and they saw his operations. Two ladies, actually. One is even related to him from his hometown. She saw how he was calling those who were mobilized with the resources of the party to use for election day logistics. He picked his phone and he called them one after the other because he planted them as proxy to collect the money for the various local government, the 9 local government. He called them individually and directed them not to go to their local government with those resources, that they should stay away with the resources until after the elections. And that was what happened. On election day, definitely you need resources to move around, to mobilize your agents. But they stayed away with all of these resources until after the elections. The election sells on Saturday, and they return on Tuesday, Wednesday with the money to share with their cronies who acted in cohort with them to frustrate my election. Now, that is logistics from the National Secretariat. It is my inalienable right to benefit from that logistics, because we paid for nomination forms at an exorbitant rate that everybody, cried out, and people actually shouted in the country. I bought my nomination form for 20 million. Usually when you do all of these things, these monies are the monies that the National Secretariat also return back as logistics during the elections to fund election activities. So he made them stay away. And these ladies were around him when he was carrying out all of these operations. Particularly in my local government, we have one Honorable Moses Odu, who collected the resources, a former House of Assembly member, who collected the resources for the local government. The state party chairman called him to ask where he was. He said he was at Alede. That was the midway between Makurdi, where he collected the money from, to Benue South. And the state chairman told him to remain where he was until after the election. And that was what he did. Because we called him all through, his phones were switched off. Another thing also he did again was to make sure that the agent tax that we are supposed to be given, because no matter how he changed the agents, in my local government, of course, we come from the same local government, he knows he couldn't attempt to do that in my local government. So what he resorted to doing in order to embarrass me in his thinking was to hoard the agent tax from the party and also connive with the security agencies and the INEC ad hoc staff not to allow anybody to act as agents within my own community of Orokam district, of the 3 council ward, not to allow anybody to participate as an agent. You know that we have a lot of illiterate voters who usually don't know symbols. Some of them don't even know party logos and all of them. They rely on agents to say, I want to vote for this, please direct me. These are what some agents do. He denied me of that advantage, such that when the results were being collated and all, nobody was allowed to act as agent from my area because he hoarded the agent tax. But because without it, you can't participate in the election. That is another way. Now I'm talking about these ladies. They had issues with one of them. I don't know what the issue was. And they took themselves to Area 10 before an AIG police. They were discussing about the sum of 50 million he transferred to her. And then she's claiming he gave her as a gift. And he's also claiming that he gave her for business. So in her statement she was writing, she mentioned some other transactions.
How did you get access to all of these documents?
She said, she mentioned that she had other transactions that he asked her to carry out just to establish the fact that they had that relationship, that closeness. Wow. So in the process of dropping her statement, I got wind of it. So I got the contact to ask that I had this happen during my elections. Can you furnish me with the information? She said yes. And I said I wanted to be on record. So I chatted with her there on my phone. And she sent everything to me and narrated exactly how he operated and sent money to my opponent. So that was what happened, and that was how they sabotaged my election. I mean, one will wonder, we have 4 House of Reps seats in Benue South, and we won 3 out of the 4 in the same election, and you lost the senatorial seat. It's unprecedented. It's unheard of. 4 House of Reps seats.
And the
we won 3.
The elections were held the same day.
The elections were held in the same day. That is where they were swapping the results.
But remember, there was a lot of upset in this election, really.
No, but our party won.
With the Labour Party.
No, what I mean, our party won. Not like we had PDP, ABGA, no. Our party won 3 seats, APC, the same election. The same agents that are supposed to conduct the same election. So I'm going to come to the issue of whether or not we have problems or not. Just to tell you that I was popular enough in that election to win. I mean, if I ran at the risk of being immodest and boastful, if I ran against a sitting Senate president, former Senate President, Senator David Mack, and I defeated him, they rigged the election, I went to court and I got judgment, and we went back into a rerun with him, Senator Abba Moro would just have been a walkover for me in that election. And besides, his reputation had dwindled and fell into the lowest ebb because he hadn't been able to live up to his expectation as senator to our people. And our people mobilized. PDP was not an issue in that election. That election was clearly between the Labour Party and APC in Benue South, not PDP. Even the governor himself, jettisoning his candidate, the governor, Samuel Otom, at the time, was campaigning for Labour in Benue South. He was not talking about PDP. So PDP was not an issue. What they simply, because if it wasn't an issue, Now, it would have been expected where Labour Party cleared, like some other places. I know of a situation where Labour Party won in Delta State, in the senatorial district of my friend who was invited to pick a Labour ticket, and he turned it down because he is a staunch member of PDP. Eventually, after the election, Labour was declared winner of the senatorial election, but they had no Labour candidate. So you'll have expected that kind of wave blows from southeast to my own part, which is Obadibo local government that just have common boundary with Obola for Enugu. But it didn't happen so because of APC's popularity in that election. The Labour candidate had 40,000 and I had 60,000. Even though the Labour presidential candidate won Benue South because of the anti-party activities of the chairman, I scored 60,000 votes. 20,000 clear votes ahead of the Labour candidate. That's tell you how popular we were in that election. But for the anti-party activities, we would have been declared. I've been on this race for 13 and getting to 14 torturous years. I've been contesting this election. What is my crime? During my run election with Senator David Mark, all I did was invite this young man who is the chairman to come be the director of organization.
For your
campaign.
Okay.
Just to promote him. That was the first political activity, his first political appearance. I brought him to limelight. I'm just mentioning this for the first time because you asked. I don't like to go back to these issues.
No, but we need to know.
I didn't only engage him as director of organization. I bought a car, his first car he drove in his life, and gave him to go on that assignment that I gave him. That was what I did. And on my own cost, I sponsored him round to go around with me to have the contact with all the people in Benue South. That was how I brought him to political limelight, just to let you know. And also, we are the foundation of APC in Benue South. I started from AC to ACN. During the registration of members in ACN, I paid for all the registration of members who registered in Benue South for ACN. And that is one of the legacy parties of APC. I built the party from the scratch, from the foundation. At the time we were in ACN, there were only few notable people in ACN from Benue South. Former Minister of Agriculture, Chief Aldobe, the immediate past state party chairman, Comrade Abba Moro, and I were the three notable names in the party. We built the party from the scratch. And I can't imagine that the same party I've labored to build up over the years will be the same party that will come and deny me of my victory at the moment that I had the most opportunity to clinch that Senate seat that I've been running for more than 14 years. Okay. That is what informs the petition that I wrote. And if you ask again, there was a period, just to be fair to him, there was a period that during our last Congress that we were to elect our party chairman in the state. The Abba Moro that I mentioned is from my local government. And he had been occupying that position of chairmanship from AC to ACN to APC. He has stayed well over 13, 14 years. We have 9 local governments. If the chairmanship is zoned to our zone, other local government also want to feel a bite of the chairmanship. We had people who started agitating from Apa local government, from Obi local government, from other area, other zones. So, but this suspended chairman came out and indicated interest, and the then party leadership endorsed him. But I went against it to say, no, it is not right. In the interest of justice, equity, and fairness, which are the tripod stands upon which our party is founded, let other people also feel it. That was the
your offense.
That
was when the love was lost.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was the only offense.
Daniel, I'm wondering, we have to begin to round off now, but I'm wondering, all of these things you've talked about, I'm very passionately too. Why didn't you bring up all of this before? Why are you bringing it up now when the court cases are all over and there's really nothing you can do about getting the Senate seat?
I brought it up. It will interest you also to know that this same chairman went to the house of our deputy governor now, current deputy governor, at that time a candidate. Immediately I clinched the ticket. He did everything to frustrate me in the primaries, but I won landslide. He ran to the deputy governor's house in Abuja here, knelt before him, pleaded with him to join him in working for the PDP candidate against me. So the deputy governor picked his phone and called me immediately. He was quivering in his voice that he couldn't believe that the state party chairman will come to his house to invite him to carry out anti-party activity against his candidate. So on that ground, just to cut the long story short, I put up a memo to Senator George Akume, the leader of the party, and I copied our governorship candidate, now the governor, very Reverend Father Hyson Alia. I copied the deputy governor too. But I sent an advance copy to the deputy governor. When he saw it, he cautioned me and said I should exercise restraint. We had the election coming. We don't need any crisis in our party. That such can affect the elections.
The elections, yeah.
That was why I withdrew. But I wrote some letters to the National Secretariat asking them to give me the agent list before the elections. I have copies of those letters that I have attached to my petition. Now, the matter, I think, finally had been resolved because I copied the petition I sent to the National Secretariat. I copied the word of Mr. Austin Agada, which is a Hajj ward of Ogbadibo local government, where I come from. I copied them the petition and they acted upon it. His ward members were already conversant with the anti-party activities because they had a lot of witnesses who said he came on the eve of the election and even before then addressing them and asking them to work for the PDP candidate. Those who are susceptible to anti-party activities, they capitalize on the posturing of the chairman on my election and they carry out the anti-party activities. So they knew it, but they didn't know how to approach it. As soon as they got a copy of my petition, they acted on it and they suspended him. Right. Now, a party member also have said the rights and privileges he enjoys as a party chairman have been lost. So therefore, if you are suspended from the party as a member of the party, the person approached the court and he got an injunction for him to stop parading himself. And as I speak with you, yesterday, the SEC meeting, that's the State Executive Council meeting of the party, was held. And usually it is caused by the governor who is the leader of the party. And you know, like it happened in the nation, Abdullahi Adamu was the national chairman. When he left, the leader of the party, that is the president, caused the NEC meeting. And they sat and decided who to take over. In the same manner, the governor called for a meeting yesterday at the state level, and members of the state working committee assembled with the government officials and also members of the State House of Assembly. They gathered there, and in line with the recommendation of the leaders of Benue South, these people that I've mentioned, these names that I've mentioned, the political elders and leaders of the party from Benue South, they recommended that the welfare secretary of the party at state level takes over because nature abhors vacuum. So what they did was to recommend him to the governor, and the governor has endorsed him. Right. So we have a brand new acting chairman right now that is set to give a direction to the party.
All right, Daniel.
Talking about my own petition, you may want to know.
We have to go.
Our time is totally up on this.
Out of time now, Daniel.
You've said so much,
because
actually.
Knowing you, if we allow you, we'll talk until 11 p.m.
At least the most important thing is that you've been placated, right?
Yeah.
You're happy that your petition...
But I want a pronouncement from the national headquarters of our party.
Okay, that's what you want.
Yeah, I want a pronouncement because this is just the word that I've handled. My petition is before the National Working Committee.
Okay, you want a pronouncement from them.
7 days to attend to it. The 7 days is gone already. Okay. I expect them to send a fan-fighting committee or disciplinary committee so that they can commence action.
Okay, I'm sure they've listened. We thank you very much for your time with us and sharing these thoughts. We've been speaking with Daniel Onjeh, an APC chieftain and former president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, talking about the crisis in Benue APC. His petition